And a special welcome to those joining us for the first time here in person and also in Zoom land. Hi. So we will begin the service with the ringing of the kancho. And then please follow along as we chant Ju Seige. You could follow along on the screen or in the purple service book in front of you on page 93.
가곤조 세이강 이시무저도 시강 흠만도 세크저쇼가 가오무려고 의다이세슈 사이쇼빙 세크저쇼가 가시저분도 묘쇼저지뻐 극혐이쇼모 세크저쇼가 니역지쇼네 여의 슈방여 싱음저도 이쇼텐이시 진리기엔나이고 으쇼무사이도 쇼저상금여 거사이슈야그나 아히지에겐 건모함 해석쇼아그도 스다츠덴슈모 어서저만도 이여러지뻐 미칭아투슈즈키 땡kom풍에 이슈가이허도 거세그덕허 저다이슈즈 法ししく供養一切部具足習得本万年出場満得意三害用妙仏無下知通達未不詳万悪へり法師最小尊志願や国大戦王官の空所天に法地妙家ナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブがにしくどく平等聖祭道本菩提心往生安楽国何万脱何万脱何万脱何万脱何万脱何万脱
So now please join us for the reading of Three Treasures, followed by Sankyemon.
Please join me. I invite you to please join me with, hands together as we recite the three treasures. Hard is it to receive a human form. Now we have received it. Difficult is it to hear the Buddha Dharma. Now we hear it. If we do not receive awakening in this life, in what life shall we do so? Let us reverently take refuge together in the three treasures of the truth. I take refuge in the Buddha. Together with all beings, may we attain the great way of enlightenment, awakening to the supreme intent of the Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma. Together with all beings, may we enter the storehouse of Dharma, acquiring wisdom as deep as the ocean. I take refuge in the Sangha. Together with all beings, may we become united at the great assembly, being free of all bondage. Hard is it to encounter the supreme, profound, and wondrous Dharma, even in 100,000 million kalpa. Now we are able to hear and receive it. Let us thoroughly understand the true intent of the Tathagata. Sankyemon. Ninjin ukegatashi imasure ni yuku. Buppo kikigatashi imasure ni kiku. 好み根性に向かってどせずんば、さらにいずれの章に向かってかこのみをどせん。大衆もろともに指針に参謀に消えし立て祭るべし。自ら仏に消えし立て祭る。まさに願わくは衆生とともに大道を体現して無常よお子さん。自ら法に消えし立て祭る。まさに願わくは衆生とともに深く共造に入りて知恵海のごとくならん。 水から層に消えし立て祀る。まさに願わくは衆生と共に大衆を通りして一切無限ならん。無常人人未明の方は百千万語にもあようことかたし、我今検問し従事することを得たり、願わくは如来の真実義を下し立て祀らん。ナモアミダ仏、ナマンダ仏、ナマンダ、ナマンダ、ナマンダ仏、ナマンダ、ナマン。ナマンダ仏、ナマンダ、ナマンダ。
Okay, so now it'll be Reverend Umezu will now deliver her Dharma message.
Once again, I invite you to join me with hands together as I recite a passage by Venerable Shinran. Wisdom means to know how to advance towards Bodhi and keep oneself from falling backwards, and to realize emptiness and non-self. Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda, Namanda, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu. Well, good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing today? Good? It's kind of cold, huh? We turned on the heater right before, so hopefully it'll get warmer. Thank you, everybody, for joining our service today in person, and for those of you on Zoom, welcome. And for anybody joining us for the first time, a special welcome to you as well. As I mentioned, the passage that I have shared was written by our tradition's founder, Venerable Shinran, and it can be found in his major text, Kyogyo Shinsho. And this passage is actually not one that Venerable Shinran created himself, but he was citing the great master Tanlan from China and great master Tanlan's definition of what wisdom is in Buddhism. Based on our everyday definition of wisdom, we may think that it is about knowing some kind of specific knowledge about the world, or maybe it refers to experience that is gained in life through maturity. However, as we can see in Buddhism, the definition is very different. Generally speaking, wisdom refers to the awakening of our awakening to the truth of reality. In this passage, there are specific aspects that are being emphasized, and that is to know which paths and practices are conducive to awakening to nirvana and which are not, and to realize that all things are inherently neutral, neither good nor bad, and this is including the self. The self is not a fixed, permanent thing, so it is called non-self. Further, this wisdom is not a wisdom that we awaken to through our own activity, but it is a wisdom that is being given to us by Amida Buddha. So why is it so important for us to be given this wisdom and become aware of it? First, I would like to mention that as I've just said, it is important that we know what we are receiving, that this is being given to us. Have you ever been given a package or a gift from someone when you were not expecting it? Like a wrapped package or something in a bag? When this happens to me, I ask, what is it? What's inside? Sometimes this even happens when we order packages and we receive a package from an online store outside and we don't remember what we ordered. And we say, what's inside? What did we buy? Because how do we feel when we don't know what's inside, right? We feel a little bit like, oh, not fearful, but like, oh, we don't know what to expect. Is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? We don't know. So unless it's a regularly scheduled time to exchange gifts, such as the end of the year or birthdays, we might get apprehensive to open a package that we don't know what's inside without knowing what to expect. And so I have heard some people in our community say they hear us use the words wisdom and compassion, but they don't know what it means. What is this wisdom that I'm supposed to be receiving? And so that's why I think it is important for us to reflect on what Venerable Shinran is trying to teach us in telling us what Buddha's wisdom is, so we can know what to listen for, what to expect. And as we have heard, there are two parts to this wisdom as it's being defined here. And I would first like to address the aspect of what we call emptiness or non-self. So I'd like to share a quick story or episode. A couple of months ago, some relatives invited me out to bingo night at their temple. Do any of you here play bingo? I know we have bingo here at the temple. Sorry, it wasn't at our temple that I played bingo. But my family and I, relatives and I, were all sitting at a round table together, and none of us have been doing well, so we are all cheering for each other to get the numbers to be called so we can win. And my uncle declared, "Man, I hate bingo." And we all kind of laughed because we understood what he meant. None of us were winning, so this wasn't fun. And then a few games went by, and then he had a card where he was getting more numbers called, and then he finally won. And then guess what? He didn't hate bingo anymore. He's like, "Oh my gosh, I love bingo." And I thought this was so funny. And it reminded me about how easily we can change our mind based on our own conveniences. When I think about my own life, I do this so often. I do this so often that I couldn't really think of a specific example to share with you today. But something that most happens in our house is when Marie asks me what I want to eat for dinner, I'll give her an answer. But if she asks me too early, by the time dinner comes around, she's like, "Oh, you wanted this, right?" And I'm like, "No, that doesn't sound good. I don't want that." And I change my mind. And so, of course, while these examples of bingo or changing our mind about what to eat, that's not really a big deal in the bigger picture of life. But we make these types of declarations about larger issues, even about how we feel about ourselves. But we become attached to our views as if they're absolutely right and can never be changed. So in the examples of my uncle's attitude towards bingo and my attitude towards food, it changed based on how we felt at the moment. So when we have thoughts, all of us have thoughts like, "Oh, this is good," we're really thinking this is definitely good at that moment. And we are thinking, this is definitely bad. This is great. That's annoying. When we have these kind of thoughts, they're not just thoughts, but we carry our attitudes out towards these objects to match our thoughts. We don't smile and say, "This is definitely bad," right? We have like, "Oh, this is bad." And we have views like this related to all aspects of our life. And we might easily think, "Yeah, but I'm allowed to have any thought that I want." And yes, that is true. However each of us feels is how we feel. But Buddha wants us to know that when we hold on to these types of views so tightly that we think that our thought in that moment is absolutely right and what we say is absolutely true, then when other people in our lives have an opposing view that they are equally attached to, that is when we start to clash and we have conflict. Neither side wanting to budge, trying to convince the other side, "No, my way is right, my way is true. No, my way is right, my way is true." And thus, we create suffering for all of us who are involved. Thus, what we are not understanding is the big picture of truth, that all things are empty of value, such as absolute good and absolute bad. As it is seen from the realm of Amida Buddha, the realm of truth reality, all things are neutral, and equally valuable. It is this I that is putting a value on all things. Further, we extend this attitude towards ourselves, and we think that there are aspects of ourselves that are permanent, including our thoughts and feelings. But the truth is that there is no permanent I. This I is always changing and in flux, physically, emotionally, and mentally. And not understanding these truths is what is causing us stress and suffering, and sometimes in ways that we cannot consciously pinpoint, but we feel frustrated. The second aspect of this wisdom is about knowing how to advance on the path towards enlightenment and how to not fall backwards on the path. In other words, do we know what will help us to overcome our stress and suffering, not just in the short term, but in the greater picture of this life and the next and after this life? And not just for ourselves as an individual, but for all beings that we share this life with. Do we know what will keep us in this realm of suffering, both in the short term and the long term? Now, this might seem like an abstract question, but let's try to reframe our thought. When we are feeling stressed out, or when we are feeling like life is difficult, what kinds of acts or what kinds of things do we do to make ourselves feel better? For example, for myself, sometimes I want to eat my comfort food, like French fries, or have a meal with my friends to just chat and vent about life. Or sometimes I want to do retail therapy, and I buy DVDs and comic books. I'm sure that you all have your own go-to stress relievers, and these acts might bring us some very short-term reprieve from our stress, but inevitably, it does not really bring me closer to solving the root cause of my problems, which is my 3 poisons. Again, I'm not saying this to say that we cannot or should not engage in whatever stress relievers we need for our immediate mental health and calmness, but just that Buddha wants us to know that such acts are not relieving the deeper cause of our stress and unhappiness, which is our 3 poisons. So because we are ignorant, we live in such a way that we are ignorant to the truth of the neutrality of all things, the truth of the non-permanent, non-substantial self, and the truth of the causes of suffering and how to overcome them, both in the short term and the long term, we need to be given this special wisdom. This is why Dharmakara established the vow and became the embodiment of this wisdom as Namo Amida Butsu. It was in order to give us this wisdom to try to help us live in accord with the true reality of life and carry us to the Pure Land or Nirvana after this life. It is through this wisdom that we can know that Namo Amida Butsu is the way that we can advance forward to Nirvana and not fall backwards on the path. And we can do this without having to rid ourselves of 3 poisons. Furthermore, even though because of our 3 poisons we can never fully live truly in accord with this truth, we can have a glimpse of this wisdom truth that is of how Amida sees things. We are getting a glimpse of the world through Amida's eyes of wisdom. Just being aware that this wisdom truth exists is the gift that is being given to us through Namo Amida Butsu, so that we can be reminded of the role that our 3 poisons play in our lives, and how our thoughts are constantly changing due to our own personal conveniences. With these reminders, we can be inspired to slowly, over time, ease up on the tight grip that we have about what we think is right and wrong. And we can become more aware that what I am thinking or feeling right now is just what I am thinking or feeling right now. I do not have to consider it a fixed part of me, but rather it is a part of life that I am experiencing right now. When this natural transformation occurs in our hearts, then we can become more open to hearing more of the wisdom of Amida Buddha. And it is taught in the sutra that when we encounter the wisdom of Amida, we naturally become softer and gentler in our body and mind. And so Namo Amida Butsu, through its wisdom light, Namo Amida Butsu is wisdom light through its vow, so that we can become softer and relieved of our stress, even if it is just a little bit at a time. And this wisdom light constantly is embracing us so that we can have something reliable that we can grasp onto and know for sure that we are going to the land of Bodhi and we are okay. We are not going to be stuck in samsara forever. And out of indebtedness for this great wisdom truth that we are constantly being given, we are encouraged to continue listening to it and sharing our joy for it with others. And we can recite Namo Amida Butsu to verbally express our gratitude for this wisdom. So I hope that as we continue to live our everyday lives, I hope that we can keep our hearts and minds open to receiving this wisdom truth and allow it to be our guide in our everyday lives. For it is this truth that will help us to see the truth of all things, including ourselves, and put us on a firm path to nirvana, even when we can't decide what to eat for dinner. So thank you very much, everybody, for attending Dharma service today. And I would like to close by reading a passage by letter by Master Renyo. Lay people in the latter age who lack wisdom should deeply rely on Amida Buddha with singleness of heart, entrusting themselves to the Buddha single-mindedly and unwaveringly for their emancipation, without turning their thoughts to other matters. However deep and heavy their evil karma may be, Amida Tathagata unfailingly saves them. This is the essence of the 18th vow that assures our birth in the Pure Land through the Nembutsu. Once our heart is thus settled, we should say the Nembutsu, whether awake or asleep, for as long as we live. Humbly and respectfully. Mandai muchi no zaike shijum no nanyo tarang tomogara wa kokoro itotsu ni shite amida mutta kaku tanomi mairasete. さらに世の方へ心を振らず、一心にこにぶ助けたまえともさん主情ば。たとえ在後は人寿なりとも、必ず皆如来は救いましますべし。これすなわち第18の念仏の情のせがの心なり。核のごとく献上しての上には寝ても覚めても命のあらん限りは。称名念仏すべきものなり。アナカシコ、アナカシコ。ナモアミダブツ、ナマンダブツ、ナマンダブ、ナマンダブツ、ナマンダブ、ナマンダブ、ナマンダブツ。
Thank you very much, Reverend Umezu, for your Dharma message today. And I have to tell you, I'm a big fan of retail therapy. Now, please follow along with the reading of Ryogemon.
Please join me once again, Gasho, as we recite together Ryogemon, words of understanding of our tradition. We rely upon Amida Buddha with our whole heart for the enlightenment in the life to come abstaining from all sundry practices and teachings, and giving up the trust in our imperfect view. There is no doubt that the of enlightenment comes at the very moment we entrust, and we recite the Nembutsu, Namo Amida Butsu, in joy and gratitude for the Buddha's compassion. We also acknowledge gratefully the benign benevolence of our founder and succeeding masters who have led us to live in this profound teaching, and we do now endeavor to follow throughout our lives the way laid down for us. Ryoge Shutsugon, Moro Moro no Zogyo Zashu Jiriki no Kokoro o Furistete, Isshin ni Amida Nyorai, Warera ga Kondo no Ichidaiji no Gosho, On Tasuke Sorae to Tanomi Moshite Soro. Tanomu ichine no toki, Ojo ichijo on tasuke jijo tozonji, Kono ue no shomyo wa goon hosha tozonji, Yorokobi moshi soro. Kono on koto wari chomon moshi wake soro koto, Gokaisan shonin goshuse no goon. Shidai sojo no zenjishiki no asa kara zaru go kanke no goon to, ありがたく存じそうろ。この上は定めを課せられる恩をきて、一語限り守り申すべく候。ナモアミダ仏、ナマンダ仏、ナマンダ仏、ナマンダ仏、ナマンダ仏、ナマンダ仏。ナマンダ仏、ナマンダ仏。
Okay, now it's time for announcements. The Buddhist Churches of America Social Welfare Committee are still collecting donations for the wildfire relief. And if you do like to support the fundraiser, you can contact bca.kindful.com. On May the 17th, Saturday at 10 o'clock, we will be having our centennial commemorative seminar entitled Hearing and Appreciating the Buddha's Wish. Our guest speaker is Reverend Yukari Tori, who is the resident minister of the San Fernando Valley Honganji Buddhist Temple. And donations are greatly appreciated for this seminar. The following day, May 18th at 10 o'clock, we are having our Gotan Ed Dharma service, which is Shinran Shonin's birthday. Again, Reverend Tori will be our guest speaker on that day. And also on the 18th, we have what's called Hatsumairi, or first service for infants. So if you have a child, a grandchild that you want to present for the first time, please bring him or her also on the 18th. May the 25th at 10, we have our Memorial Day Dharma service, and our speaker will be Reverend Umezu. And this will be followed by a memorial service at the Nokotsudo, or our columbarium, which is located behind the main altar here. There are several study sessions that are offered. Wednesday from 7 to 8 p.m. via Zoom. It's entitled, What is the Jodo Shinshu Teaching? And there is, I believe, 2 sessions left, May 14th, and this is led by Reverend Takata, who is our resident minister. And there is a registration fee of $40, which is a suggested donation. If you can't make the Wednesday class, we have a Saturday also via Zoom from 11 to 12. And the next session is May the 10th. And this is also led by Reverend Takata. May the 3rd, next weekend, the Saltell Japantown Association is presenting its 3rd annual Children's Day celebration. And this is going to be held here in our temple parking lot. It's a totally free event. We have crafts, we have games, live entertainment. The temple taiko group will be performing. We have a hula show. We have some displays and demonstrations inside our social hall. The time is from 12 to 3. And if you're in the area, you know that there's a lot of restricted parking in the area. Well, we have what's called relaxed parking. So even though it's restricted, you are allowed to park without getting a ticket. And if it's full, down the street on Corinth and Olympic. It's the Lumens building. And there's parking at the parking lot, maximum $5 for that day. So if you can, please try to join us. This is a little premature, but on June the 21st, we have our annual yard sale from 9 to 1. And if you have any donations you would like to bring to the temple, you can. All we ask is that it's dust-free, there's no mold on it, no insects crawling on it. So if you do have anything, please contact the temple for that. And then as Reverend Umezu mentioned, we do have bingo at the temple. It's once a month. It's every third Friday of the month from 7 o'clock, and it's all cash prize. So we've been having a lot of people come, which means big prizes. And people tend to bring some snacks to share with each other, so it's a lot of fun. We have someone sitting in the audience now that was the big winner, shared a big win, the blackout. Raise your hand, it's okay. First time coming, so yeah, she was very lucky. That's a lot of fun. Now we also have some items for sale. We have a temple t-shirt that displays our logo. And this is what it looks like. Black t-shirt. It comes in crew neck and a v-neck. They're $20 each, various sizes. So if you are interested, you could see me today or just contact the office. And we also have a happi, a temple happi. Temple color is red, so it is in red. It also has our logo. And then in the front, and written in Japanese, is the West LA Buddhist Temple. So if you're a member, this is $80 each. It's 100% cotton. And for non-members, it's $95 each. And then finally, the Southern District Junior YBL, they are selling a Obon t-shirt. It's a fundraiser. This is also $20 each. Is it? Oh, is it still? I think the deadline's finished, right? The deadline might be passed. Okay, I'm sorry. So strike that. Strike that. Okay, so with that, that concludes our service for today. Thank you all for joining us. We hope that you come back. And Sensei?
Please offer the incense, and if you have any questions, please come forward. Thank you.